Ladies and gentlemen, listen to me, lean in close, because what I'm about to say is not just information. It's transformation. There's a shocking truth that most folks don't realize until it's too late. Your words are not just sounds, syllables, or noise. They are seeds. And every seed has the potential to grow a harvest, good or bad. See, your mouth is not just a place for conversation. It's a construction site. Every time you speak, you are building something. You are either constructing a life of purpose or paving a road of destruction. The Bible says that life and death are in the power of the tongue. That's not poetry, that's prophecy. Because what you say consistently, you begin to believe, and what you believe, you begin to live. Let me put it plain. Your life is moving in the direction of your most dominant words. Some of us have been living in cycles of defeat, not because the enemy is so strong, but because our words have become his cheerleaders. You wake up saying, "I can't do this." You go to bed saying, "It'll never change." And all day long, your mouth is narrating your own downfall. But if you ever flipped the script, if you ever started saying, "I was made for more than this. I'm not stuck. I'm growing. This pain is just the preparation for my promotion," you would start to see heaven move. You've got to talk to yourself better than you do. Encourage yourself in the storm, because if you don't speak power into your soul, weakness will take over by default. Now hear me. I'm not talking about fake hype or empty positivity. I'm talking about aligning your mouth with your mission. I'm talking about using your words like weapons of war, strategic, sharp, and spirit-filled. Speak with intention. Declare destiny. Don't describe the dirt you're in prophecy, the garden that's coming. When your words change, your mindset changes. When your mindset changes, your habits change. When your habits change, your life changes. It all starts at the top, with your tongue. Let me say this like a trumpet blast to your heart. You cannot live a victorious life with a defeated vocabulary. You were not made to curse your own path. You were not designed to talk yourself out of your calling. No, sir, no, ma'am. You've got to speak like someone who knows who they are. You are not random. You are not forgotten. You are not broken beyond repair. You are purpose, wrapped in potential. You are a walking miracle in motion. You are God's masterpiece still under construction. So start speaking like it. Speak like your words shape your children, because they do. Speak like your words frame your future, because they will. Speak like your words carry weight, because they already are. The shocking truth is this: your words don't just describe your world, they create it. So speak life, speak truth, speak faith, speak favor, and don't just say what you see. Say what you believe until you see what you said, because if you can control your mouth, you can redirect your life. God bless you. Your words are seeds. What you speak, you grow. This isn't just a metaphor. It's a law, a principle, a reality that governs the way your life unfolds. Every word that comes out of your mouth is like a seed that gets planted into the soil of your present. And just like natural seeds, those words don't remain dormant. They begin to take root. They begin to shape how you think, how you feel, how you respond, and eventually, what kind of life you live. Most people don't realize the power they carry in their own mouths. They think words are just noise, just expressions of how they feel in the moment. But the truth is, words are containers. They hold power. They carry intention. They are not passive. They are active forces moving into your future, planting realities you'll have to live with. That's why some people keep seeing the same negative patterns in their lives. Not because life is unfair, not because they're cursed, but because they keep planting toxic words into their own soil. You can't keep saying, "I'm not good enough," Nothing ever works out for me. People always leave. And expect a harvest of confidence, joy, or stable relationships. Those words are seeds of insecurity, fear, and doubt. And when they're planted over and over again, they take root. They grow into mindsets, into expectations, into habits. And before long, you've built a whole garden of limitation with your own lips. On the other hand, if you start planting words of life, of truth, of vision, everything begins to shift. If you say, I am growing, I'm learning from this, something better is ahead, those are seeds too. And those seeds carry the potential to produce peace, resilience, hope, and transformation. You may not see the change immediately, but that's the nature of a seed. It works in the dark, underneath the surface. It doesn't look like much at first, but if you keep watering it, if you keep speaking those words even when the situation doesn't change, you'll start to see sprouts. You'll start to see evidence, and eventually you'll live in a harvest of the very words you planted in faith. The problem is, many of us are careless with our mouths. We don't think twice before speaking defeat over our day, criticism over our families, fear over our future. We don't see how one casual sentence, "That's just my luck. I'll never get better. This always happens to me," is actually a seed going into the ground. And when we say those things again and again, we're not just expressing feelings. We're planting the very future we'll later complain about. It's not about pretending everything's perfect. It's about choosing what kind of seeds you want to plant in the middle of imperfection. You can be honest about the struggle without letting your words become fertilizer for failure. You can acknowledge the storm without sowing words that multiply the chaos. Words have the power to align you with truth or tie you to lies. They have the ability to reinforce faith or feed fear. And once you understand that, you begin to speak with intention. You stop letting emotions run your mouth. You stop letting circumstances dictate your declarations. Instead, you choose your words like a wise farmer chooses seeds in planting season. You ask, what kind of life do I want to live? And then you start speaking that into the soil of today. Because what you say now will grow later. What you speak today becomes the environment you'll stand in tomorrow. Every word is a seed, and the harvest always comes. Your life follows the direction of your dominant declarations. This is not just a principle. It's a reality that is shaping your life whether you're aware of it or not. The words you speak the most, the thoughts you repeat aloud, the statements you affirm consistently, those are the declarations forming the blueprint of your future. Your words don't simply express where you are. They steer where you're going. Like the rudder of a ship, your declarations may seem small compared to the rest of your life, but they determine the course you take. No matter how massive the ship, it moves in the direction of the rudder. And no matter how complicated your life feels, it moves in the direction of your dominant words. If you're constantly saying, "I'll never get ahead," "I'm always stuck," "This is just who I am," then don't be surprised when your life aligns with those words. Your declarations are not passive. They are instructive. They send orders to your brain, your emotions, your decisions, and even your energy. What you declare becomes the atmosphere you live in. It becomes the instruction manual your mind follows. Even your subconscious starts acting on what you consistently declare. That's why some people stay in cycles of failure. Not because they're weak, not because they lack potential, but because their declarations are working against their own destiny. You can't speak defeat and expect victory. You can't declare limitations every day and then wonder why you feel boxed in. Your declarations are painting the walls around you, and they're either windows to possibility or bricks of confinement. If all you ever say is rooted in fear, shame, bitterness, or scarcity, your life will begin to take the shape of those words. You'll start to see through the lens you've been speaking. You'll miss opportunity because you've already declared you don't deserve it. You'll push away connection because you've already declared nobody stays. You'll avoid risk because you've already declared failure is inevitable, but this also works in the other direction. If you begin to declare hope, declare growth, declare healing, even before you see it, you begin to change your direction. When you say, I'm moving forward, I'm being prepared for something greater, this pain will not be wasted. You shift the focus of your inner world, and that shift creates new behavior. It produces new expectations. It opens your eyes to new options. Your words begin to guide your decisions instead of just reacting to your emotions. And the more you repeat those declarations, the more real they become. It's not about lying to yourself. It's about choosing which truth you will empower. You can focus on what's wrong, or you can declare what's possible. You can echo your history, or you can speak your potential. You can repeat the lies you've been told, or you can break the cycle with a new narrative. And that narrative starts with your declarations. The most consistent words in your mouth will always become the loudest voice in your mind. And that voice will set your direction. Some people wait for life to change before they change their words, but that's backward. Your declarations are not reactions. They are foundations. You don't wait until you feel strong to declare strength. You don't wait until things are easy to declare breakthrough. You speak where you're going, not just where you've been. You declare the vision even when the valley surrounds you. Because the more you declare it, the more your mind believes it, and the more your life moves toward it. Every declaration you make becomes a compass, and over time, your habits, your choices, and your outcomes begin to align with it. What you say with consistency becomes what you see with clarity. Your life will follow the direction of your dominant declarations. You cannot live a victorious life with a defeated vocabulary. There's a deep connection between what you say and how you live, and many people never rise above their situation because their language keeps them chained to it. Your vocabulary is not just a reflection of your reality. It's a force that helps shape it. You can't talk like a victim and expect to live like a conqueror. You can't consistently speak in terms of lack, fear, and hopelessness and expect to walk in strength, abundance, and peace. Victory isn't just about circumstances changing. It's about language aligning with truth and destiny. People underestimate the power of their everyday words. They think victory is about action alone, about grinding harder, working longer, pushing more. But before the action ever starts, the internal script is already playing. That script, your vocabulary, is either charging you up or draining you dry. It's either feeding faith or fueling fear. A victorious life begins with a victorious vocabulary because your words either unlock your potential or lock you into limitation. When your vocabulary is saturated with defeat, statements like I can't, I'm not enough, it always goes wrong. You're giving power to barriers instead of breaking through them. This doesn't mean you ignore difficulty or pretend struggle isn't real. It means you refuse to let your words serve your weakness. It means you speak in a way that lifts your spirit rather than burdens your soul. If your mouth is always filled with negativity, criticism, self, doubt, or complaint, then you are reinforcing the very atmosphere that holds you back. A defeated vocabulary becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. It conditions your mind to expect failure, to avoid risk, to see impossibility before opportunity. You might not control everything in your environment, but you do control your vocabulary. You do get to decide what you say about yourself, about your future, about your circumstances, and that decision has weight. You don't have to feel victorious to speak victorious. You speak it asterisk until asterisk you feel it. You declare it even when you don't see it. That's how victory begins to take root, not in what happens around you, but in how you speak through it. When your vocabulary shifts, your mindset begins to shift. Instead of saying, "I'll never make it," you say, "I'm not there yet, but I'm growing." Instead of saying, "This is hopeless," you declare, "This is hard, but not permanent." Instead of speaking from fear, "What if it all goes wrong?" you speak from faith, "What if it all goes right?" These may sound like small changes, but they're not. They are rewiring the way you engage with life. They are creating a new internal environment where victory is possible, even before the breakthrough arrives. There's a reason successful, resilient people are often intentional with their words. They understand that language builds the frame for experience. A person with a victorious vocabulary walks into the same storm as everyone else. But they speak differently, and because they speak differently, they endure differently, and they come out stronger on the other side. They don't let circumstances dictate their confession. They let their confession declare their identity, and their identity is not shaped by what's happening around them, but by the truth they choose to stand on. So much of the battle in life is won or lost before a single move is made. Right inside the mouth, the tongue sets the tone. It establishes the focus. It signals to your spirit whether to fight or to fold. That's why a defeated vocabulary is so dangerous. It paralyzes potential. It makes you sit down when you should stand up. It talks you out of your calling and into your comfort zone. You are never meant to live stuck in cycles of defeat, but you can't step into freedom speaking the language of bondage. Speak to your destiny, not just your difficulty. It's easy to talk about what's wrong. It's natural to describe the pain, the stress, the obstacles, and the pressure. Most people spend the majority of their conversations replaying what's not working, rehearsing what hurt them, repeating what's against them. They speak from the valley, but they never speak to the mountaintop. They acknowledge the storm, but never declare the promise. If you only speak to your difficulty, you become a prisoner of the present. But when you speak to your destiny, you begin to rise above what you're in and aim toward where you're going. Speaking to your destiny isn't denial of reality. It's declaring a greater reality. It means you understand that what's happening now is not the full story. The pain may be loud, but the purpose is louder. The struggle may be intense, but the future is still in motion. Speaking to your destiny is not about ignoring the hardship. It's about overriding it with vision. It's choosing to call forth what is yet unseen, to name what hasn't yet manifested, to align your words with where you are headed, not just where you happen to be standing. If all you ever talk about is how hard it is, how unfair it feels, how long it's taking, you strengthen the weight of the difficulty. You give it more influence. You give it the microphone. But if you begin to speak to your purpose, if you open your mouth and declare what you were born for, what you're growing into, what's still possible, you shift your focus. You elevate your perspective. You lift your mind and your spirit out of the temporary and into the eternal. That shift doesn't mean your difficulty vanishes, but it stops defining you. You don't have to be out of the fire to speak like someone with a future. You can be surrounded by chaos and still talk like someone with a calling. You can speak vision in the middle of pressure. You can speak purpose in the face of pain. Your words are not just reflections of your mood. They are declarations of your mindset. When you choose to speak to your destiny, you are taking authority over what wants to paralyze you. You're saying, "This moment doesn't own me. My future is calling me forward." Destiny doesn't respond to complaints. It doesn't answer the voice of fear or self-pity. Destiny is activated by faith. It rises when you call it. It moves when you speak to it, and that requires courage. That requires speaking from the deep place in you that remembers who you are, even when everything around you makes you feel like you've forgotten. It means saying things like, "I was made for more. This is building me, not breaking me. I will come through this with greater strength." Even when your feelings don't agree, speaking to your destiny is a discipline. It means you stop using your words to magnify what's against you and start using them to align with what's inside you. It means you don't just let your environment shape your expression. You let your purpose shape your language. You speak as someone becoming, not just someone surviving. You speak as someone on the way to something, not just someone stuck in something. Your destiny requires language that leads you forward, not language that ties you to yesterday. You may feel pressed, but you don't have to sound defeated. You may feel tired, but you don't have to talk like you're done. You may feel confused, but your voice can still carry clarity about who you are and where you're going. That's the difference between speaking to difficulty and speaking to destiny. One makes the present louder. The other makes the future more real, and the one you choose to speak to is the one that will grow. Don't describe the problem. Declare the promise. It's human nature to notice what's wrong. Problems are loud, obvious, and demanding. They grab attention. They shout for your energy. But if all you do is describe the problem, you become trapped in it. You give it power by naming it over and over, analyzing it, rehearsing it, and passing it around in conversation like a story that never ends. The more you describe the problem, the more real it becomes in your mind, and the more difficult it seems to overcome. Description alone doesn't bring change. It only reinforces what already exists. But there's a different way to speak, one that doesn't ignore the reality, but overrides it with a higher authority. That way is to declare the promise, to speak what you believe more than what you feel, to say what you're moving toward more than what's standing in your way. When you declare the promise, you stop letting the problem write your narrative. You speak from faith, not fear, from identity, not insecurity. You stop reacting and start creating. You stop echoing what the problem says and start proclaiming what the promise assures. Most people think that talking about the problem is being responsible, being real. But the truth is, you can be honest without being hopeless. You can acknowledge the mountain without giving it the final word. Declaring the promise means speaking as if the outcome has already begun. It means letting your words carry the sound of victory even while the battle is still going. It's not hype. It's not denial. It's alignment, aligning your language with your future, not just your frustration. When you face sickness, describing it over and over doesn't bring healing, but declaring the promise, words like "I will recover," "This body is not my prison," "Strength is coming," that shifts something inside you. When your finances are tight, constantly saying "I'm broke," "I'll never get ahead," only multiplies the weight. But if you start declaring, "Provision is on the way," "I am learning how to manage and multiply," "My hands are blessed," then you're no longer speaking from the problem. You're speaking from the promise. Promises are not wishful thinking. They're the truths you choose to anchor yourself in when everything around you feels unstable. They are the declarations you use to remind your soul what's still possible. When you speak the promise, you are pulling your thoughts, emotions, and actions toward hope. You are planting the future in the middle of the present. Problems drain you, but promises fill you. Problems focus your attention downward, but promises lift your eyes upward. Your words are a steering wheel. If you keep describing what's wrong, you keep circling the same path. But if you begin to declare what's right, what's true, what's coming, you shift direction. You stop being dominated by circumstance and start being guided by vision. You stop seeing yourself as powerless and start sounding like someone with authority. And when you speak with that kind of authority, your situation may not change immediately, but your posture does. Your mindset does, and often that's the first step to breakthrough. It takes courage to stop speaking from what you see and start speaking from what you believe. It takes discipline to resist the pull of negativity and choose to speak with purpose. But every time you choose to declare the promise, you are giving power to what can be, not just what is. You are making space for change. You are sowing seeds of transformation in a place that once only held trouble. And the more you declare the promise, the more your world begins to shift in the direction of that promise. If you change your words, you will change your world. There's a connection between your vocabulary and your reality that runs deeper than most people understand. Words are not just sounds you make. They are signals. Every word you speak sends a message not only to those around you, but also to your mind, your spirit, your future. What you consistently say creates a pattern of belief, and what you believe influences the way you think, the decisions you make, and the actions you take. Over time, those repeated words become the framework of your world, the atmosphere you live in, and the path you walk on. Most people want change without changing their language. They want new results but keep speaking old limitations. They ask for transformation while their mouths are still tied to dysfunction. But the shift doesn't start outside of you. It starts inside your mouth. You cannot speak defeat daily and expect victory to surprise you. You cannot talk like a victim and live like a leader. You cannot use the same tired, negative, fearful language and expect your world to bloom with growth, strength, and hope. Your words are creative tools. With them, you are either constructing a life of purpose or reinforcing a life of limitation. When your language changes, your inner narrative starts to shift. The story you tell yourself about who you are and what's possible begins to evolve. Instead of repeating failure, you begin to announce possibility. Instead of forecasting doom, you declare destiny. And as those new words take root, they begin to influence how you show up in your own life. You carry yourself differently. You make decisions with more clarity. You respond to challenges with more strength. Changing your words creates a ripple effect that reaches every part of your world. People often overlook how simple this shift can be. Just replacing one phrase, saying "I'm learning" instead of "I'm terrible at this," is more than just semantics. It's a new mental blueprint. Saying "this is an opportunity" instead of "this is a disaster" doesn't ignore the pain, it reframes it. These kinds of changes don't require money, degrees, or perfect conditions. They just require intentionality, a choice to open your mouth and release power instead of poison, a commitment to build instead of break down. What you say in moments of pressure matters the most. When you're tired, frustrated, or uncertain, your words are either planting life or spreading doubt. If you choose to speak with discipline, even when your emotions are raging, you begin to take authority over the atmosphere around you. Your world starts responding to your faith, not just your fear. Your relationships reflect your encouragement instead of your criticism. Your opportunities grow from your expectancy instead of shrinking under your worry. It's not magic. It's a principle. Speak life and life increases. Speak purpose and purpose clarifies. Speak growth and growth begins. Your world rises to the level of your most consistent declarations. When you call yourself strong, you start to look for strength. When you say you're called, you begin to search for direction. When you speak favor, you start to notice open doors. Changing your words opens your eyes to what's been there all along. But what negativity kept you from seeing? Even the way you talk to yourself in silence matters. The private conversations you have in your mind are shaping your emotions and determining your confidence. If your inner speech is constantly tearing you down, you'll sabotage yourself before anyone else has the chance. But if you change that inner language, if you start saying, "I'm capable," "I'm not my past," "I've got something to offer," you build a new mental environment, one where vision grows and courage takes root. That inner shift begins to manifest outwardly. The way you treat others changes. The way you approach goals changes. The way you bounce back from failure changes. Because your words don't just echo your world, they redefine it.